So Mixland Audio just released the new Subloom plugin, and it might be one that replaces a whole lot of stuff in my plugin folder. Let's check it out. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Great Big Plugin Show on Puremix.com. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, this is the plugin show that you guys get to be a part of and help me review plugins live on the air instead of watching a pre-recorded thing, which makes it super fun. So as we're going through this, let me know if there's anything that you want me to try with the plugin, or if you want to hear it on a different source, all the things. Hello to my friends in the chat. We have the YouTube chat over here. One day I'll learn which side it's on, but good to see you guys in there. The party's all here, so this is going to be a good time today. As always, if you could, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It really does help us keep content like this going, and give us some feedback that you guys like seeing stuff like that. So let us know, and definitely let us know in the comments below as well. All right, so today we are checking out the new plugin from Mixland Audio called Subloom, and I've got the website pulled up here. We'll blow it up a little bit for you guys on your phones, and this thing is pretty incredible. I saw it for the first time in a video with Jesse Ray Ernster that's coming soon to a Puremix near you, where he's mixing a Doja Cat song, and he uses it in the video. And as soon as he pulled it up and started playing with it, I was like, what's this, Jesse Ray? What are you working on? It was super, super cool how he used it to dial in the bottom end of the kick, and it was extremely effective very, very quickly. Right off the bat, one of the things I'm going to say is Jesse also happened to make one of the best plugin demos I've ever seen from a manufacturer in the video that's on the website. And for those of you who just want to get into this thing quickly, I'm going to do what no YouTuber should ever do and recommend that you just go watch this video, because it's really good. We're going to have some fun and play with some things on here too. So, stay tuned and don't tell my boss that I said that. But he really, really killed it on that video. And it's amazing watching how he uses the plugin. I think there's a lot to learn from watching that too. So I'm going to be repeating some of the stuff that he does in that video today, and we'll have a good time going through it anyway. But hats off to Jesse, because that video is super killer. Okay, so Subloom is a new drum mixing console that features a comprehensive set of tools, including an EQ, transient control, saturation, and an extremely flexible sub-synth channel with innovative new pitch dive feature that emulates the natural resonant behavior of live drum heads. That's super cool, and we're going to get to it. In addition to its comprehensive feature set, Subloom is also designed to be easy to use. Dial in the raw kick drum on the left, then dial in the desired sub on the right, and blend them together using the 2-channel faders, and boom, there's your kick. So you guys can read the site if you want to. There is the important parts are it has EQ built in on the kick channel side that is a British style 3-band EQ, and we're going to see that. There's some really cool things that it does that I do with a Neve channel a lot of times that I found that this does pretty much just as well for me. So we'll check that out. There's a transient designer in it. There's a saturation circuit, and then there's the whole synth side. So let's go ahead and go over to Pro Tools and check this out. So let me pull it up here, and here we go. Here's our plugin, nice and big on the left for you guys. For those wondering, over on the left, you do have your resize capability, so you can make it super tiny, or you can blow it up if you're blind or doing a plugin show. Okay, so let's dig in here. Over on the left, on the kick channel side, we'll just go top to bottom. We've got high pass, low pass, resonance. Super cool. Below that, we've got our EQ, which we can make pre and post. The saturation circuit. We've got 3 bands that we can select with on the bottom of the low frequency. So 30, 60, 120, very Neve. Mid frequency is 400, 800, 1200. High frequency 3, 6, and 12K. Below that, we've got our transient control, and then our saturation circuit, so we can decide how much saturation we want to bring in. A wrap feature, which gets some really interesting characteristics from the saturation. We can choose between just kind of a overall saturation, and then I believe it's second order and third order harmonics. On the bottom, we can bypass the saturation if we want, solo just the kick channel, mute it, flip the phase, and we have a volume fader for the actual kick channel. Going to the center, we can choose transient, pre or post saturation. Same over on the kick side, we have that option. And one important thing, this knob in the middle here for the trigger, this is a threshold control. So if you're working on a source that's low level and you're not getting sub, you just bring this down to trigger that. Over on the right channel, we've got the pitch of our sub sine wave, basically, that's coming in. The attack of that, how quickly we want it to happen after the transient of the kick drum, and then the decay, so the overall time that it takes for that to extend out in the note length of it. Below that, it's a pitch dive section, which we're going to dive into. And looking below that, we've got transient control, saturation, and the wrap feature again. Same thing with saturation type. Same controls at the bottom. We've got a fader independent for just the sub side, and we can solo that and mute it and flip the phase and all that. So let's dive in. We're going to be using a track from Jared Evans produced by Ill Factor called Light Shine Through. And it's got some good hip hop drums. So we'll start there and see what we get. Here we go. Here it is. I'll start with it in bypass. So I'm going to go factory default here. And let's go to default state on the plugin. I'm going to bring this guy up. I'm going to mute the sub side. We're just going to start out with the kick channel. And I'll bypass it, play a little bit, then bring it in. And I'm going to just start doing some things that I would normally do to a kick. There's also, looks like there's a little boost on the default. So let me clear that out. So flat EQ to start, and then I'll start doing some things with it. Here we go. So that kick's got a lot of bottom in it already, but let's see what we can do. Here we go. So this is something I like to do on a Neve strip quite a bit, and that is basically to clean up the bottom end and then use the shelf to kind of create like a resonant peak on it. So you'll kind of high pass the bottom, boost up the shelf, and you end up with a bit of a resonant peak. So I've found a high pass setting around 64 that I thought tightened things up, and let's start boosting some low end. So I'm going to start with it. I'm going to go to 60, and here we go. Here's bypass. In. And then let's play with this resonance and see what happens here. So you can see we start getting that peak like we would on a classic British console. Here we go. Cool, that's a sound that I could live with. Let's go over to our mid band and just kind of hear what's going on. So I'm going to start with 400 and just listen to these. All right, you can get a little knock with the 400 on that. Let's play around with our saturation. And a little bit with our transient control. So it seems like to the left sharpens the transient. Yeah, and to the right just kind of flattens it out. So very British of you. Cool. Okay, let's go over here. That's a decent kick sound. Let's go over and play with the sub sample or the sub synth side. And I'm going to mute the kick side and just listen to what's happening. All right, let's bring back our kick and we'll start blending up in some sub. Here's the before. After. And let's see if we can get some more transient out of the sub. I'm interested what that'll be like. Yeah, so going to the right is kind of like turning up the sustain control on a transient designer and really kind of extending that kick out. So I'm going to leave that flat for now. And let's check out doing some crazy decays and seeing if we can get the note value to work with the groove a little bit. Here we go. All right, so right there, it is doing what I would normally do with a 1073 style EQ on the regular kick drum sound. And then I would probably use something, if I really needed more bottom end out of it, without the long decay setting on the sub side, I would be looking at something like the Voice of God to try and, get some extra oomph in there. With the decay thing brought in there, I don't have to do the whole complicated routing of like sending my kick drum over to a sine generator and then setting a gate after that that's triggered by the kick drum to, do long release times and all that. This is so fast to dial in stuff that used to be very complicated to do. It's super, super cool for that. So let's look at the pitch dive section here and just see if we can make something cool happen. Here we go. And one thing I'm going to steal from Jesse's video here, he turns up the saturation to be able to hear some of this stuff a little bit better as it's happening. Here we go. Pretty cool with the pre-delay to be able to set that to a note value so it waits after the initial transient to do the dive. That's kind of cool. And let's try going up an octave to hear some more of that dive. So we'll go up to 80 from 40. Thereabouts, close enough for jazz. So getting pretty fun here. Awesome for sound design. Let's play back with that pitch a little bit. This is something I've talked about on this show and also the Mix Tank takeovers that I do. But subs are always a tricky thing. If you think about any concert that you've ever been to where the front of house engineer just loved his subwoofers so much and he's cranking the kick drum through them, but because of either the venue or just how the subs are reacting, it's extending the length of the kick drum. And I know I've been to some shows where they're not listening to the groove of the band. They're just thinking like, listen to how awesome I can make the kick drum sound. And they're cranking all kinds of low end. And then you end up with this note value that ends up extending over the groove and totally messing up what the drummer and the band are locking into. So I normally like... subwoofers are a dangerous thing because they can really mess up that groove. And that was the thing that was pointed out to me by John Paterno, just with working with low end and trying to get it to flow in the groove. And if it's going to have a note value, making sure that that connects with the groove of the drummer and it all locks in. And that's something that's so easy to dial in on this plugin and make a cool thing happen without just getting a bunch of bottom end that's just kind of rolling around, which is really great. So normally I feel like I have to do stuff either with gating or trying to get high passes to work, and there's multiple processors kind of working in tandem to get things to lock in well if I'm adding something like this, and this just makes it super easy to hear it. That trick about turning up the saturation to listen to the decay and everything that's going on is super valuable. So guys in the chat, how are we doing? What do you think of this thing so far? I was thinking that we should listen to it on some other stuff like maybe some toms or a more acoustic drum set. Let me know if you guys have some stuff that you want to hear it on. For now, I know in this track, there's an explosion sound that happens over here. And I've got this one pulled up. Let's go to our default here. And I'm going to hit bypass. And let's just check out this sound. So we'll listen to this by itself. Here it is bypassed. And in the track, just wanna forget what it's like. So I'm going to solo up the drums again. This is an unmixed multi-track. You guys can download this from the Jared Evans and Ill Factor start to finish deal there. So here's that impact again in the track. Let's see if we can make that more fun, add some extension to it. So here we go, listening to. So perfect case over here on the left, I'm going to bring the threshold down so it hits the signal. And then I'm just going to add in a whole lot of decay and bring this guy up around, we'll say 40. Here we go. Let's do a little pitch dive. And then I'm going to back the saturation off and probably back off the volume of the synth. Here it is without Subloom. And with. So it just adds some movement in the bottom end, which is pretty cool. Adds to the groove of the track and makes that thing a little bit bigger. Nice. Mousequake, I bought this in advance of your plugin show. I don't blame you at all. This thing is awesome. Okay, so let's see how we do on an acoustic kick. So I'm going to go over to Jealousy, which we use on the show quite a bit here. And let's check out what our kick drum and our drums in general are doing on this one. We'll go over to a louder section of the song. Here we go. Let's listen to just our kick. Oh, look at this. We have a sub kick in here. So let's see what our sub kick sounds like here. Sub kicks are an interesting thing to me. So this sub kick track that's on here, I generally, when I have a microphone from a sub kick, I found that a lot of the time they have a resonant peak that doesn't really always work with the drum. And I end up not using them more often than not. So in this case, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mute the sub kick, and let's get our sub from Subloom. So first of all, let's listen to the kick in and then the kick out. Nice snappy kick in. Here's the kick out. Good body on the drum. Here's the kick in and kick out together. All right, now let's bring in Subloom and see if we can get something cool to happen. So here we go. See, if this is here's a funny thing. Check this out in my plugin folder. If I just type sub, here's all the things that I have to try and do these things. The Pro Sub Harmonic has been really cool. The BX Sub Synth is cool, but for me, none of those have been able to dial stuff in quite as quickly as this one has yet. So, all right, here we go. So there's my usual trick, and then if I bypass, that does pretty much everything that I love about doing this trick on a 1073, where you set up the high pass and then you boost the shelf. I could even go a little bit higher on this band here and just see what happens. Let's go up to 60. Yeah, so I already love the EQ shape of that in and of itself, like forgetting about the sub thing. That's a really good sound. Let's play with the saturation. That sounds great. That's a great sounding kick drum already. Let's see what we get from doing some sub here. I'm going to back off my low frequency boost just to make room for a little bit of sub energy. Let's see. All right, now I'm watching the useful frequency analyzer here to see where the fundamental of my kick drum is. It's up somewhere around 60, I'd say. Let's just see if we try to match these. Here we go. I'm going to take it out of solo, bring down the volume of the sub synth and bring it in. So that might not be right for this track, but the sound design possibilities are pretty cool there with doing the pitch dive, you know, giving a long decay to that sub, waiting for the kick to get out of the way, and then doing the dive down and pitch, which is kind of cool. This thing is super rad. Mousequake used this on an 808 over the weekend. He says, ooh-wee. Nice. Awesome. This thing is a huge win for me. I don't even know what more there is to say about it other than make sure you check out Jesse's video. The way that he goes through and kind of demos different sounds, you can kind of see his thought process in action for what he was, thinking as he laid the plugin out. Hats off to Mixland. I think that this thing is super cool. I have nothing but good things to say. It's awesome, and it's going to make life easier and replace quite a few things in my chain. So, very cool. If you guys want to hear this on something else, let's check it out on the floor tom before we go. But if you guys want to hear it on something else, make sure you let me know in the chat. All right, let's find a floor tom. This looks like a floor tom. Let me get the plugin out of the way for a second. And let's just listen to this guy in solo. I'll take the kick out. Now this is definitely like a, vintagey sounding kick. Not meant to have an 808 sounding floor tom with it, but we might be able to get something cool anyway. So let's start off with just the EQ side. I'm going to mute the sub side. So even just as, again, just a channel strip, this EQ is super, super cool. And let's do a little saturation. Transient designer is super useful. Could play around with the saturation settings, but let's just see what we get with the sub side. I'm going to solo it up. Bring down my threshold a hair. That fundamental seemed like it was kind of up around, up higher in the 120s or something like that. So I'm going to start super high. We're going to do a longer decay. We're going to go right for the pitch dive, a little bit of pre-delay, and we'll turn up the range a hair. Turn down the attack. Let's just see how crazy this is. Let's not wait as long on that pre-delay. down in pitch a bit. And some saturation, because why not? All right, and let's see what happens when we blend this in. I'm way too high in my pitch. Let's just go low. Okay, kind of cool. Here's where we started. Here's where we are. Yeah, fatter. It would definitely take some more tweaking on the pitch dive because that floor tom has a natural one happening in it anyway, so I'd have to play around and make sure that those are matching up so you don't have two different dives happening slightly off from each other, but that's pretty sweet. How does it sound on a synth or a lead to give more heft or body? I like these kinds of plugins to do that on sounds too. So I would think that it'd be pretty awesome, actually. Again, just even if it's just for the left side, the EQ and the saturation would be super cool. And then the sub side, if you have a lot of pitch going on inside of the synth, I would imagine that it'd be interesting to dial that in because you'd have different frequencies possibly rubbing with each other. But on the left side, I could see that being super cool. And then, you know, maybe if you found the fundamental or like the root of the scale and you just had it kind of humming along down there, it might be neat. But definitely something you could try. That'd be neat. Yeah, this thing's a huge win for me. So super cool. Guys, I think that's going to do it for me. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below or reach out to the guys at Mixland. Definitely go check out their site. This thing's on sale for $50. And again, that the left side of the channel strip, actually, after doing the show today, it's really good. It's really good. So I'm going to be turning to that for some other stuff too, I think. But all right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been a blast. And please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys on the next show. Jesse Ray's video is going to be coming to a Puremix no later than very soon. So stay tuned for that. He's going to be mixing Woman by Doja Cat on it. And spoiler alert, it's a pretty good video. So, all right, guys, I'll see you next time.